Week 13 of the college football season has some fantastic matchups, but if you go just below the surface this week, you'll see that some of the worst matchups of the entire season happen this weekend. There are games that should be considered a crime against humanity. It's so bad, in fact, that I've officially dubbed this weekend as College Football Hell Week. So come with me on this journey into the college football depths of hell. Here we see the depths that we can venture into, starting with the conventional bad games. These are going to be games that, happen every single given week. None of them are particularly too offensive or grotesque. But then we get to unwatchable games, games that are just so frighteningly bad that you wouldn't even dare turning the channel to watch those games. Then there's the baffling matchups. How could this even happen? How was this allowed to happen? There's got to be a crime committed here. And then lastly, the bottom tier, which is just straight up hell. So let's get into it. We'll start off in the conventional bad games tier. There's 4 games here, and none of them, like I said, are going to be too frightening. Games we're used to happening. We'll go game by game. There's Boise State at Wyoming. This one's here just because Wyoming is terrible. They are tragic this season. Only 2 wins on the year, a loss to an FCS school. Things have not really panned out for Wyoming this year, and it's just the fact that Boise State is that good this season, and they're being forced to travel to Laramie at Wyoming. It's pretty funny, and to a certain viewer, this might actually be an appealing matchup. The same can't be said about some of the games further and further in the depths of this weekend, but this one is just a conventionally bad matchup. There's FIU at Kennesaw State. Again, another one that's just conventionally bad. Pair of atrocious CUSA teams, 2 of the worst teams in one of the worst conferences in college football. They have 4 wins combined between them. They're both just really bad. Kennesaw State has already had their head coach fired, which takes us to the next matchup. Charlotte at FAU. Both have had their coaches fired, contrary to the last game, and both were second-year head coaches that were doing so terrible in just their second season that they got fired. That's pretty quick, and both teams just not very good this season, albeit maybe a couple flashes from Charlotte here and there. FAU, maybe it looked like they could be a decent team early in the season, but another one that's just conventionally bad. And that takes us to Louisiana Tech at Arkansas. Another one where Arkansas is just going to crush Louisiana Tech. We see matchups like this throughout the season. It's not too startling. And Louisiana Tech just got a signature win. They beat Western Kentucky last week. So who knows? Maybe they show up ready to play and can knock off Arkansas. But again, it's just a conventionally bad matchup. Arkansas is favored by about 3 touchdowns. Nothing too crazy should happen here. The thing about any of the games in that first tier that are conventionally bad is any one of them could end up being interesting. What if Wyoming's testing Boise State late? What if Louisiana Tech has a lead on Arkansas in the third quarter? What if Charlotte FAU goes to double overtime? Those are the things that could happen. But with the next tier, unwatchable games, that's not going to be the case. Let's get into why these 3 games in this tier are completely unwatchable. The Citadel at Clemson. It's the Citadel. They were known for being tied with Bama at the half like 10 years ago or whatever it was. Didn't last long. It won't last long in this game either. They'll probably only be tied at 0-0, and then they'll lose by 50 to Clemson. The Citadel still runs the option, which is sick and twisted. It's going to be a bloodbath. We've got Wofford being essentially just sacrificed to a red-hot South Carolina team. There are very few FBS teams that could beat South Carolina right now, and yet they're playing Wofford. I feel bad for Wofford for what's about to happen to them. It's just going to be unwatchable. And then we have, of course, Rice at UAB. This is a game that is sick and twisted because it's a position where, yes, one of these coaches has been fired as well. Rice fired Mike Bloomgren a long time ago, but at UAB, somehow, Trent Dilfer still is the head coach there, which is hilarious considering they've been excessively terrible. And sometimes it's an even more cruel fate to watch a team that has not yet fired their horrible head coach and is instead dragging him through the season in a year where I think most people have already known it as a foregone conclusion he's going to be canned. This one will be unwatchable. There are no stakes here. There is no bowl game stakes. There's no rivalry blood here. It's just Rice at UAB. However, the unwatchable games are ones that at least happen routinely from year to year. We've seen the FCS teams line up against those guys before. We know what's going to happen. It's probably going to be a bloodbath, but takes us to the next tier, just a little lower, the baffling matchups. Like, how did this even happen? They have a choice. There's FBS teams in here. Have some pride or self-respect. What are you doing? And that takes us to the first one, UTEP at Tennessee. Just baffling. UTEP might be the worst team in the worst conference in college football, and they're playing a Tennessee team that is capable of just eviscerating opponents. Who is it in the UTEP organization that decided the pretty penny they're going to get is worth it to go get 100 dropped on them? I mean, your program might not recover from a game like this. It's pretty intense for them to do that. And then my personal favorite baffling matchup, UMass at Georgia. This is quite possibly the worst team in college football versus the best team in college football. It is an insane fact that this matchup is even happening. I don't know who it is at UMass that accepted this matchup, but it is guaranteed a person that will not be on the sidelines. They will not have to be a player or coach in this game. They are someone that can ignore and turn off and pretend like this game is not going on, because all UMass fans are going to want to do that. But at long last, after a grueling journey, we have made it to the bottom layer of hell. And there are two games in this tier, two games which have been circled on the calendar for quite some time for differing reasons. And let's talk about those two matchups. First, we have Charleston Southern at Florida State. The Seminoles entered the season as a top 10 team. They are now 1-9, in danger of finishing the season with only one win, which would be absolutely baffling. And now they play Charleston Southern. Florida State is a 33-point favorite right now, according to Vegas. And so, in theory, they should just blow out Charleston Southern and win. But everything has gone wrong for Florida State. So surely, the Seminoles can't lose this game, right? They won't lose this game. Or will they? It just feels like there's a sneaking suspicion that there's a scenario out there where the Noles lose to Charleston Southern, who themselves is a tragically bad FCS team. And that takes us to the final game in the bottom pit, bottom layer of hell, Akron at Kent State. It is a battle for the bottom of the MAC. Both teams are horrible. Both coaches on the hot seat. They have one FBS win shared between them this season. It's likely to be the only one that they have aside from this game versus each other with 2 games left in the season. Will Kent State win their first game of the year? They're winless right now. Or will Akron get a miraculous win number 3? They had a miraculous win versus Eastern Michigan earlier this season. It is putrid that this game is on the schedule this year, and I know some of you absolutely love it. There's a part of me that loves it too, but these types of games are the reasons I have dubbed this as College Football Hell Week. But that does it for this video. Thank you for journeying with me into the depths of college football hell. Let me know down in the comments, are you going to try and watch any of these games on Saturday? And if so, who hurt you? Why are you doing that to yourself? Don't. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. I will see you guys later this week. We'll have several other videos coming out.